Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video, and in today's video I'm interviewing Kyle Prinsloo, the author and creator of SturdyWebDevelopment.com. Kyle, thank you so much for being here, and you want to just introduce yourself for everyone?
Yes, well, first of all, hello everyone, and again, thank you to Talma for this conversation and what we're going to discuss now. And as I said earlier, I mean, I love your charismatic nature and your spirit. I mean, I was just smiling as you were, in the intro and everything. But yes, as you said, my name's Kyle Prinsloo. I'm the creator of StudyWebDevelopment.com. And I'm sure, as everyone can tell from my accent, it's something very different. It's more like a bit of Elon Musk in a way. So I'm from South Africa, for those who don't know. And yes, that's me.
Cool, Kyle. All right, guys. So if some of you still don't know, Kyle is the creator of StudyWebDevelopment.com, this freelancer bundle that I have been promoting in here on my channel. So, Kyle, you have been like a kind of a freelancer for already many years now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, how did you got started and all these kind of things?
Sure. So whenever anyone asks me that, I always get a bit like almost concerned in a way, because I want to know how much you want to know, because there's so much to it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
how basically how did you got started in freelancing? Did you had to learn some kind of web development coding? All these things. Did you
Sure,
have
sure.
a full-time job before?
Yes,
Just
yes. So I think it's important just to give a bit of background, about almost since when I was a teenager, because that's when I really got into business and stuff, which I'll get to now. Because I think a lot of people, I mean myself included, one of the hesitations I had about moving into freelancing is because I looked at all these successful people, and I was very hesitant to get into it,
Mhm.
But yet, but there's a lot behind the scenes, that that's behind someone who's successful. So in short, I'll just briefly go through it, and you can stop me or ask me to elaborate, wherever.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was about 15, I started doing work on weekends, and the type of works could vary. It would just be maybe I would hand out flyers or pamphlets traffic lights, where the cars are and stuff, like promotional things. Or I would work in jewelry. I used to work as like a salesperson there. I'm not a good salesperson, but I was doing that just to get experience interacting with people, overcoming my, fears actually, and a lot of
Yeah, that's
doubts.
that's an awesome thing.
Yes, and I really wanted to push myself, and I mean, it's something I still do as well now. I still have to try and push myself. But yeah, I was there 16 and 17. I was working in jewelry. In my final year in what's called high school year
Mhm.
in South Africa, let's say almost like the, you know, sort of the college equivalent, I would say, in the US or something, maybe a bit under. I dropped out of school in my final year, and obviously I had explaining to do to my parents, and I had to get their support and everything. But the reasoning behind that was because I had a business idea that I wanted to do with my brother,
Mhm.
and it was actually called Training Spectrum, which was a weird name. Don't ask me why we got that name, but the whole focus was on a website showcasing influential people in health, in local schools, in certain provinces and areas, who are exceptional athletes, like interviewing them, trying to understand a bit more about them, and fitness, and all of
Mhm.
these things.
Yeah.
And it actually did quite surprisingly well. I mean, we had some very good sponsors like Puma, Adidas,
Wow.
a lot of a lot of some very nice brands, but unfortunately, it wasn't. I would say a lot of it was between me and my brother. We didn't have the right mindset of the
Mm-hmm.
business, to keep it sustainable and for like a long-term thing. So that actually failed. And obviously, I mean, you
But
can
that's
imagine.
completely fine, because
Yeah,
as you can see, you are like starting from a very young age, like doing some kind of entrepreneurship, and
yes.
this is like what everybody says. It's just like on your first tries you can fail, but you can fail like 2-3 times, and after you just get better.
Exactly, 100%, and a lot of people look at things like this as failures. And if you had to sum it up as one word, yes, you can call it a failure, but the way I view it is, like I learned a lot from that,
Mm-hmm.
and that also motivated me and everything. Whereas a lot of people get discouraged when they try something new and they actually fail. I mean, that's not how you should do it. You should learn from it and improve, hopefully, along the way. But after that, I mean, you can imagine a lot of my peers were going on to study further, getting their degrees, and yeah, I was basically like, a high school bum,
Yeah.
essentially. Like I didn't have any money. I had to move in with my gran, and finances were very tough. I was very confused about what I wanted to do, and eventually I made a connection with a friend. He had like a small IT business,
Mm-hmm.
and I went into IT for a while, a very small, simple job, just like helping out where I could and everything. And then eventually I also went into accounting. I didn't have a degree for it, but I handled the sales there for a while, and I actually moved up to being like a manager there, actually. And
Wow.
yeah, so I was very happy about that. But I didn't enjoy it. It was just to sort of get by.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I was still very confused, about what I wanted to do. And eventually I really thought and sat down about what I wanted to do. And I studied further, just a little certificate. Like it's not really a very reputable certificate or like a
Mm-hmm.
degree or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was more like a short course of 3 months, and I studied digital marketing, like online marketing, and that really made me interested in this whole world of online marketing. And then I also learned a bit of business management on the side as well, like to accompany the online
Mm-hmm.
marketing side.
And
And
many people, they don't understand that this is one of the most important things ever, like digital marketing, business management. And there's a lot of people learning things
yeah,
out there that they don't, it's not that they don't really matter, but they are not so important as these ones. Social media and business management, it's like this is the top.
exactly. I mean, 100%. I mean, if you look at the stats globally, in fact, a lot of it has to do with software engineering and like online marketing, marketing management. Those are a lot of popular jobs at the moment that are coming in demand. So it's definitely a good place to be for the future. But just as a small side note, I didn't have enough money for these studies, so I had to take a
Mm-hmm.
loan from friends that I knew. So the point I'm trying to illustrate is that it was a bit tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a bit of a struggle there. So I really dedicated my time to learning this late at night and everything. So anyway,
And
after
here,
that,
let me just
yes,
stop you in here
sure.
for a second. This is another thing in here that I want to point out, like for everyone, something that you are just telling in here, that you're actually like asking money to your friends, to people because you didn't have, but you were asking money to invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge,
Exactly.
so you can actually get the profits later on. And this is something that people actually they don't understand, and I want you guys to take this kind of example from Kyle, and even from me as well, that I had something similar. It's just like when we are investing in ourselves, this is like the best thing that you guys can do, because knowledge is power. You might think, for
Mm,
example, this is something that I tell people they want to enroll on Treehouse, for example, that they pay like $20 a month or something. This is nothing for the knowledge, or even, for example, your freelance bundle. people can invest this kind of money, but they can get so much money after it that it's crazy. Why you shouldn't invest in yourself? But
Exactly. And
yeah,
look, I mean, I fully agree with you. Exactly. Um, yeah. So moving on from that, obviously now I had the knowledge, like you say, knowledge is power. Now I had the knowledge, and I was passionate about like marketing and the psychology behind it, trying to help companies grow. And anyway, through my business management course, that was like a year-long course. In one of my lecturers, it was actually my HR, like human resources. I don't know if they call it human resources
yeah,
in overseas. Yeah. So my human resources lecturer, he found out that I was also studying online marketing, and then he had a friend who had a growing business. Doing a lot of things online and everything. So he actually recommended that I go for an interview, and I went for the interview, and I got the job. So I was very happy about that. My salary increased quite a bit, and I was there for about almost 3.5 years.
wow.
Yes, and I
How old
was
are you, by the way, if it's okay
sure,
for me
sure.
to ask?
Sure. I'm 17 and a half. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm 25. I'm 25 now.
Wow.
And yes, so I was there. I think I started when I was about 20, I think. 20, yeah, about 19 or 20. So all of these jobs like happened,
Mm-hmm.
like there's so many odd jobs when I was a teenager and stuff. But yeah, I went into the marketing side. I handled their marketing. I grew into the marketing manager, overseeing all their, they probably had dozens of online businesses, everything
Mm-hmm.
from selling furniture to skincare products, everything. I mean, a lot of things, and I learned a lot. Obviously, I mean, you're handling big marketing budgets, so you need
Yeah.
to, learn a lot, everything from websites to the marketing. So that actually built a bit of interest at the back of my mind about websites, because I always thought, no, this is like a foreign language. So I think that planted the seed, but where it really got started was about 2 years into my work there, into the marketing job. I got married to my wife now, and she couldn't work. She's from India,
Mm-hmm.
and her visa didn't require, like her visa permit didn't require her to work, so she can't legally work.
Right.
So we were only reliant on my income,
Mm-hmm.
which for one person is fine,
Yeah, but
but
for
but,
two.
but I mean, when you have a wife and
Yeah.
and and I mean, it's two people essentially, then finances can get very tough, and that almost forced me and forced us to try alternative ways to try and bring in more money. And I mean, I can tell you all these other stories, but that's just gonna be unproductive for people. But in short, what I came across Udemy. I'm sure everyone knows
Yeah.
udemy.com. Yeah, just in case anyone doesn't, it's basically like the biggest online education platform, with like exceptional courses, everything from photography to design to web development and so on. And on average, I mean, the courses, how much are they? About $10 or something,
Yeah,
Talman?
they're around like
Yeah.
$10, and this is another thing. It's just like they have like so much value in there for only $10 that people is
Exactly.
like crazy why they wouldn't go there and check it out.
Yeah, sure. So we came across Udemy, and because my wife was learning like jewelry making, just to try
Mm-hmm.
and bring in like another income and stuff. And then I saw there, I think she actually pointed it out to me. She's like, "Oh, there's web development like courses on here," and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Okay, that looks interesting." And anyway, I bought a course. I think the first one was by Rob Percival. I don't know
All
if you've
right,
been
yeah,
had his course.
I think I bought this from
Yes,
the complete web developer
yes, that one.
something.
Yes,
I
that
bought
one.
that
That
as
one.
well.
Yes, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's actually the most popular web development course in the history. Like he sold so many of them, and I must say that really opened up my eyes. So what I did was I just learned HTML and CSS. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like they got a development
No, no,
upstairs.
no, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So I just learned the basics, HTML, CSS, and then from there I just built studywebdevelopment.com in December 2015 while I was working the full-time job.
Right.
And
Yeah, this is one of the questions that I
yeah,
wanted to ask you. Is just like you were still
yes,
working in your like digital marketing position, and you were
yes,
doing like your study web development like on the side, trying to bring some extra income. What?
yes,
So yeah, this is
yes,
like a
yes.
great idea.
Yes, yeah. Look, I mean, I get a lot of questions from people saying, how do you handle working a full-time job with, trying to make money or freelance on the side?
Yeah.
And honestly, I find that a lot of people give these like blanket answers, like very general answers, but a lot of the time it's very, it depends on the person's situation. For example, if they've got two kids, and their wife's working, and I mean, things are hectic at home, I mean,
Yeah.
you can imagine finances are short and all these other things, so it needs to be adapted accordingly. Um, but yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go to like, if you can at least, to have a full-time job and focus on your side businesses, any of your side incomes, and then when it gets to about 40%, 50% of your full-time income, because remember, you're not focusing your 8 or 9 hours a day, and you've got at least 2 months savings, that's generally what I say to people. You can look at taking a calculated risk to move over to your side ventures, full time at least. But yes, I started studywebdevelopment.com in December 2015, and I was basically just sharing my ideas, of writing articles, of like how to learn web development, how I've been learning, some tips, my struggles, and all of these things. And I started getting clients. I tried various methods, I built study of development, and then all of these other income streams started coming in, like affiliate income and consulting.
So did you start like study web development like to offer kind of services to clients such as like building websites, or what was it like focusing like in the beginning?
Sure, a good question. And studywebdevelopment.com, that is purely focused on helping web developers or web designers, like either learn web development or become freelancers and stuff. So I don't send that website at all to potential clients or to clients at all,
Right.
because I don't want to distract them and change the messaging. And that's why if someone had to go there now, I mean, you would see it's like the main focus is on helping web developers, Yeah. So when it comes to getting clients, I mean, obviously that's like a very big topic itself. But I would have like maybe different agency websites focused on a particular niche, which I'm sure we can discuss, on how to get clients in that niche. And then I tried other platforms like, let's say Upwork or Fiverr.com, and then also just the general outreach, emails, phone calls, advertising, everything.
Did you try like most of like people around your area, or you were just like trying around like all over the world, like when you were trying to get clients?
Everything.
Every,
Everything. In hindsight, and obviously I don't recommend it now, because in my freelancing bundle that that I created and that you recommend, obviously that's where, like, what I recommend there is what has helped me fine tune a lot of things to make it way better, so that the person doesn't waste time or waste money like I did. And
exactly.
and it's obviously based on a lot of successful models that work. But just to wrap it up quickly, basically at one point, the income from client work, from studio development, I didn't have my bundle back then. I only launched my
Mm-hmm.
bundle in 2018, but for about a year, actually over a year, I was actually earning more on the side than I was at my full-time job.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
uh, yeah, so it was very stressful, coming home, trying to handle emails, trying to work at night. So I mean, I very often, worked until like maybe 2 a.m. in the morning. I had to wake up at 6 or 7, and it really took a toll on me. And then eventually, we decided to, make the move. But obviously, my amazing wife's studied web development herself, and now she actually does a lot of the web development related projects for clients, or our own business projects now, which are very exciting. So eventually, obviously, I left I think about a year and a half ago, my full-time job, and then I moved into like my freelancing and my own businesses since then, and it's just been amazing since then.
Wow, wow. So yeah, this is like just to show people that it's possible to do this, and the best way to do this is just like like what you said yourself, is just like you need to be on your full-time job, even if it's a job that you don't like, and just try to run your business on the side. Whatever like free time you have, just put it on your side income, that it can grow into an actual like full-time business just like yourself. And this was like a great like option for you, that you can actually work with your wife together, because now you can basically work together from anywhere in the world. This is actually
Yeah.
something that I want to do with my girlfriend as well. I tried as well a little bit of freelancing when I did like a trip in Asia for 3 months, but I was just like, I thought it was just like too much time. I think I would prefer to do some kind of short, like 1 month here, 1 month there, and then go back home, because everybody likes to go back home a little bit. But
Yes. Yeah.
but
I mean, look, you're 100% right in saying that. I mean, a lot of people want almost like the digital nomad
yeah, yeah.
lifestyle. Like traveling there, traveling there, traveling there, and I mean, it appeals to a lot of people. If you don't mind, I just want to say, Tom, because you mentioned something important, and I don't want to overlook it quickly,
Hmm.
like when you're talking about like a full-time job moving into side income and everything. I do want to mention though, and say that it's not for everyone, because it does require a lot of discipline and
Hmm.
motivation, because if you are not passionate about your future, let's
Hmm.
say a year or two from now, like where you want to be, what you want to do, how you want to be as a person. And if you don't understand that why, like the deeper meaning behind it,
Exactly.
you're gonna give up, in a month or two,
Exactly.
because it requires a lot of sacrifice, and that's something people don't talk about. I mean, there might be times I mean, you can't go out on weekends, or you don't see friends or family because you're working on your business, or
Exactly.
maybe at night. I mean, you're very tired, but you need to, you push
Yeah.
through, and
Yeah,
obviously it depends on
it's
the
exactly
situation.
it's exactly like you are saying. This is not like for everyone, because although you have like it is very fulfilling, like doing this kind of having your own business. Uh, Everyone says that there is this like ups and downs. There are some times that you have, for example, a lot of business and everything is going well. Sometimes it goes a little bit down, and like you said, this is not for everyone, because some people, they just prefer to go every day to work and not having any worry, any stress about the income, because the income is coming steadily, and they are happy
Mm.
like this. But that's fine,
Yeah.
because we are all different. Because you just everyone just have to wait like their pros and cons, what they think is best for them or not.
Exactly, exactly. And one thing I just want to add on and say is that um, a lot of people are too afraid of getting started, But I would say, I mean, just do it. Obviously, everyone says that, but I mean, really, just do it, and then decide from there if it's something you want to pursue or you don't. Because I mean, just to put it in perspective, I mean, I've got a lot of friends, who are peers who are coming out of university, who have their degrees, being lawyers, doctors, and whatever else, civil engineers, like you. But they have this idea of what they want in the future. Like they don't want to be in that particular field. They would rather, let's say, for example, you know they're interested in fitness and health, like my one friend. He wants to travel and blog and document his journeys and write about fitness and health, like, because he's a personal trainer as well. And for him it seems so far out of reach because he's just got that idea in mind, but he's not acting on it. and
Yeah,
and he's been
exactly.
he's been thinking about this for years now.
this is
And
this
you
is
must just
this
do
is
it.
this is something that I actually tell everyone. Is just like a lot of people, they just like think too much. They think too much,
Mm.
and they are just thinking about, oh, this is gonna be bad, or this is gonna be hard, or but they never try it, so they don't know exactly how it is. And something that I try to tell people, even to learn web development, even to try freelancing or anything, is just like try small steps every day, because a small step every day is going to become like a big step in a month, in 2 months, or whatever. And this is something, for example, like you were talking about in my YouTube channel. In the beginning, I was not the best. I'm still not the best, but I was like really bad with my videos and everything. And you just get comfortable the more and more you practice, and that's how everything works in business and everything.
Exactly. I think Malcolm Gladwell. I'm a very fond reader of him. He writes some incredible books, but he basically writes in detail that in order to master something in anything, it could be financial reports, it could be whatever, anything that you can think of, athletes and everything. You need to dedicate 10,000 hours to that particular
Right.
field or industry, which I know it sounds like a lot, and obviously it is, but just to break it down a bit smaller, because a lot of people obviously get overwhelmed here. But I mean, even when it comes to web development, if we think about learning, and that's why a guy like Alex Callaway, like the guy who created 100 Days of Code, is popular, because I mean, he's breaking up a huge chunk of like web development knowledge, and all he's saying is like, listen guys, just break it up and dedicate 100 days,
Exactly.
consistently, ideally consistently in a row, and just learn. If you can only learn 20 minutes, that's fine, but keep it consistent, because at the end of those 100 days, let's say 3 months, 3.5 months, I mean, you'll be so much more equipped, and I know you talk about this as well.
Yeah, and something that I actually would like to touch on this is just like some people, they think that for you, in order to start your freelance business, building websites for clients, helping them with this, that you have to be a complete master of web development, that you need to write code. Oh my god, you were like a genius. But I try to tell people, like, because this is not necessary. There are so many like services out there, like for example WordPress or other things. You don't actually have to be building things from scratch all the time, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's like a mechanic. I try to give this example all the time. A mechanic knows how to build a car, but if he wants to get a car, he's gonna buy one, okay? Or he's not gonna build it himself. And I don't know what's your opinion in this.
Yes, well, I actually like that. I like that mechanic analogy. It's actually very good. But look, my opinion is exactly the same as yours, actually, and I'll explain it now. But let me just lay some ground to this and say that it's often not a popular opinion to have these days, because a lot of people think, that you need to code, and it's so important, which, I mean, of course it is. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from that.
Yeah.
It definitely has its place, but everything must be viewed in context. So let's say, for example, Talmo, you create websites, and now I'm going to speak to you particularly on the front end side, and not like back end, like creating systems and everything behind the scenes. Let's talk about websites now for a client. Let's say I'm a trucking company, like I'm a logistics company, and I approach you for a website. Where a lot of people go wrong as the developer is they think in their mind, okay, what are the latest, JavaScript frameworks or technologies or libraries or whatever? How can I create this for this client? Which, in my view, I'm going to go out here and I'm just going to say that's the wrong view to have. Why is that wrong? Because you need to think bigger than just like how you're going to create the website. You need to think about the purpose of the website. And what is the purpose of the website? It's basically, in short, to get the, in this case, the trucking company more leads, more, more sales, more contracts, like to grow their business ultimately.
The conversion rate optimization
Exactly,
of that.
exactly. And this is where it gets interesting. And this is what I love about web development. And this is what I try and push a lot in my blog, to like go against the, the conformed mentality of like trying to say, I'm trying to learn JavaScript, I'm trying to learn, React or whatever. And it has its place, of course. I mean, it's an awesome thing to learn at the moment. But is that going to yield? Is that going to result in you getting clients? Is that going to result in you getting paid?
Exactly.
You need to figure that out. But I mean, if you can learn the skills of how to create a conversion-centered website for any business in any industry, in any like niche, I mean, you'll become a lot more in demand because you don't need to learn all these 20 different programming languages to become successful as a freelancer. And let me just quickly say this quickly. A lot of people are quite amazed when I say that my main coding knowledge, well, right now at least, is only HTML and CSS. I know that's a hectic thing to say, and it's almost like a swear word. If you say if you say HTML is like a programming language, but anyway, just give me some grace here. So the reason why I'm not wanting to study further, well, I wouldn't say study further because we should always keep learning, but I mean in the sense of learning, let's say Angular or React and all these other things right now, is because I would rather focus on other more important things,
exactly,
on how to
exactly.
And, growing their business,
exactly.
like improving my knowledge, like sharing what I know on my blog, creating more. You know what I'm trying to say? But I fully agree with you.
This is something that I try to tell people. It's just like sometimes they are just trying to learn things that they are never going to use. So obviously, when you are just learning something because it's the latest trend or everything, your memory, your brain is not going to remember it. And just as you, Kyle, you were saying that one of the most important things, for example, like in a freelance business where you are building like websites for your clients or something, my first job as a web developer, I worked in a big agency here in Manchester called iProspect, and I was doing exactly this what you are saying about conversion rate optimization. If you guys look on my LinkedIn, I even have like the title in there. So I was doing this conversion rate optimization, and there I was working with clients such as Sony, Disney, the Hilton hotels, all of and this agency, I actually had like access to some of their invoices and stuff. They were like charging $50,000, $70,000, like for not even building websites. Look at these, not even building websites. They were just like modifying, this is what I was doing, modifying the website in a way that it would convert better the people who go to the website. So this is just for you guys to see how much important it is, this kind of conversion optimization, because it's like you were saying, it's not, oh, I'm going to be building this website for this client and I'm going to use React, or I'm going to use, and people, they forget about the purpose of the website, because even if you're going to build this with these latest trends or everything, if the website doesn't do what it's supposed to do, this client is not going to come back to you, is not going to recommend you to anyone else, and it just goes from there.
Look, I mean, exactly. I mean, I mean, when you're speaking, I'm just nodding the whole time, you know, because I mean, it's exactly that. I think when it comes to like creating effective websites, again, I think you say like people are too focused behind the scenes, you know, of like learning React and like the functionality aspects. But let me just say this quickly and say that in some websites there you do need functionality, of course, you know, like some form of JavaScript, or let's say PHP, or whatever, something that can make it better. And just because if you have knowledge of only HTML and CSS, it doesn't mean you can't do it, because all you need to do is outsource that to someone who can do that particular, you know,
Exactly.
section of the website. Because and I just want to quickly say, you know, when you mentioned the invoices of like 50K and up for like, and it's very often it's small things, you know, and you think to yourself, wow, you know, but to a lot of people, I mean, that sounds ridiculous, which I mean it is actually, but I mean, it's based on value as well, because if you are changing a website, maybe let's say the landing page, you know, like the main sales page, essentially selling the service or selling the product, and I mean that results in maybe let's say 20% sales increase for the business. And that's like a few $100,000. I mean, of course, for them to pay 50,000 once off, I mean, it can make sense, you know.
It's nothing. I remember,
Yeah.
I can tell this from my personal experience. I was actually doing reports, like to send some proposals to these kind of companies. Like I mentioned, there was like loads of popular ones. And I was just like, one of the things that I was doing in there was, for the proposals, we were doing some kind of predictions. For example, with these conversion rate optimizations that we are trying to do on your website, if your website converts better, like for example just 1% better, this is how much extra revenue you can get. And all of these, if we're going to figure out after like the 50K, for example, that they are paying, it's going to be nothing. It's going to be like peanuts,
Exactly.
like people say. It's not going to be nothing. So it's like really a good investment. And this is actually, guys, if this is something that you want to have like a better look on conversion optimization, this is actually something that Kyle's bundle is covering in there, and it's really awesome. I've been looking through it, and there's like some awesome value. I actually, I'm gonna put in here on the description the link, and actually my discount, guys. If you come from me, you have the 20% discount. Tell 20. I'm gonna put in there. But yeah, there was like there was like another thing that I wanted to ask you, and this is like going back to the fear part, about like many people, they just like they have a lot of fear that if they like jump out of their full-time job, that they are going to be like, oh my god, now my steady income is gone. I'm just afraid that I'm going to be homeless. I don't have money to eat. What was like going through your mind when you actually just left your job? You told that you were already making some good money on the side.
Yes.
So yeah, what was like going through your mind? It's just like, I'm afraid, or I have to be brave, I have to do this. What was it?
Look, yeah, I think there's a few ways to answer this, and it's a very good question. Let me first say that there's no guarantee that anyone will succeed.
Yeah.
Because that can happen. It can definitely potentially happen. Even now, it could potentially happen.
Yeah.
Who knows? But at the end of the day, obviously, I'm trying hard not to let that happen. But what I will say is that something very simple, is that if something was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, and this is where it gets exciting, because it forces you to adapt. You
Mhm.
know, look, I'll be very practical and honest with you. Although I did have money, in the bank when I first started, I only had maybe 2 or 3 months worth of savings, which
Mhm.
to some that might sound like decent amount, but to others, that's quite stressful, because let's say you lose a big client, or or you get sick for a while, or
Mhm.
something happens, that can go very quickly. And obviously I do recommend now for others to have at least 6 months on the minimum ahead, so that they can basically chill, or if something happens, or they
Yeah.
lose a client, obviously there's a lot of and they're not going to lose sleep for a while. But this is a hectic thing to consider, when it comes to fear, because I can only speak from personal
Mhm.
experience, and say that is very real, because obviously, your security when you have a job, they pay you every month, you just
Yeah.
show up,
Yeah.
you obviously need to work and stuff, but there's a lot of security essentially. When it comes to a business, a lot of people know, and I always talk about it, it's like the valley income, up, down, up, down, up,
Yeah.
down. And this is where it's risky, but obviously we need to view it in bigger picture. Work, business, either you're living someone else's dream, or you're trying to create your own dream for yourself, and with that will come its challenges. But if I can just say, and I must be careful how I word this, because I don't want to be perceived as a weird guy or whatever. But where I used to work, I used to earn a decent salary for myself. Now on the side business, on like my freelancing businesses and all of these other businesses together, it's making many times more my salary.
Mhm.
So it paid off, the risk,
Exactly.
the calculated risk, and obviously I'm trying to keep it going and to grow it and stuff. But
Mhm.
let me just wrap it up on the fear side quickly and say again, uh, um, it doesn't stop, because when you have your business in, something can happen.
Exactly.
you know
Exactly.
you just have to try and adapt, and just try and make
Yeah,
sure that
but
you
this
can
is
keep
this
it
is
afloat.
like many entrepreneurs, they mention these, and it's like completely true. Sometimes the gap between you and the success is just like fear.
Mm,
There's a lot of fear, a lot of people who just their life is controlled by fear. They are feared of doing something, and because they are afraid of doing something because of fear, and then they don't do it. I give you, for example, me, for example, when I was finishing my degree in civil engineering. The situation was not good in Portugal, and I was a little bit afraid of moving to another country, completely different. But I was just like, I need to overcome this fear. There's like still a lot of my colleagues living in Portugal, and their quality of life, it just doesn't get too much because they are afraid of going out, and it's the same like with business people. They are just like afraid to start or to face the consequences, and sometimes
mm,
really fear is just like an obstacle that you have to overcome in order for you to get the best thing out of your life, an improvement on your life, better salary, how you can travel more, so many other things. I give
Exactly.
even the example. Sometimes with my girlfriend, I was like afraid, should I ask her out or not? There's like a lot of people, for example, who are single. This is another example. They are single because they are afraid of asking someone out, or this applies for almost like anything in life. People, they just
Exactly.
overthink. They just overthink things, and they never get anything out of it.
Very true. And I like how you said, I mean, it affects every aspect of your life, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, even on a practical relationship level, you know, like you just said, you asked your girlfriend out, but now, obviously, you're very happy and thankful you took the
exactly.
risk, you know, you took action on it, you know. Otherwise, you would have just been thinking now, like, oh, I should have done that, you know, I
Yeah,
should have asked her
exactly.
out.
Because this is the thing, is like people sometimes they just like think about many outcomes about this situation. Oh, if I do this, what can happen? If I do that, what can happen? And they just
Mm,
like think, and the action is just like not in there. But when you actually go through the things, you can see if it works, if it doesn't work. There's like this guy that I actually follow quite a lot on YouTube and everywhere, like this um, Gary Vaynerchuk. I
Gary Vaynerchuk, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so he's just like one of the best motivational
Yeah.
guys over on YouTube, and he just like says, just just do it, because otherwise you are just like living someone else's dreams and you're not doing
Exactly.
anything for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, I also like quite a few of his videos. You know, I mean, he's very direct. You know, and
Yeah.
he says it how it is. But I mean, you know, it's hard to get action sometimes. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes you need to. I mean, look, people are different. Some people require, you know, you know, a bit more talk, a bit more love, or whatever.
Yeah.
But other people just like, you know, I mean, you just tell them straight, black and white, and
Hmm.
you know, it resonates with them more. You know, so yeah,
Yeah.
we need guys like that sometimes to just motivate people. You
so
know.
so I just have like we are like close to an hour of our call.
Yes,
Uh,
I just see that now. So
yeah.
doesn't feel like it.
So I just have like a few more questions in here,
Mm.
and what one of that would be like, how, like starting your own business, doing like this kind of freelancing that you are doing, how did this actually like change your life? How did it change from the moment that you were working in a full-time job to actually now just working for yourself, basically? How this
Mm.
like improved your life, and what kind of things you can tell us?
Wow. Wow. A very hectic question, Tamo. It's a good question. But look, I mean, it's really affected every single aspect of my life and of my wife's life, you know, ultimately as well. You know, I mean, for the better, you know,
Hmm.
I mean, honestly speaking, obviously, you know, I mean, behind the scenes, there's a lot of decision making that needs to happen, and you do make mistakes. I'm still making mistakes, but
Hmm.
learning along the way, and all these other things. But just to you know, hit on the question here specifically is that, you know, I mean, everything from more freedom, which is something that's important to
Hmm.
me. Um, I mean, again, I mean, sometimes this whole year, like we moved cities within South Africa. I mean, for example, some people don't know. Like, I didn't work for 2 months. You know, like I just took off. You know, I was just handling a few emails or social media stuff. But that's maybe half an hour of work. You know,
Hmm.
and even now it's still very flexible, a few hours a day if I wanted to, or take the day off, you know. So I'm just saying, you know, just from a freedom perspective, I mean, it's incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, truly, because I think I don't know, have you read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4 Hour Work Week? Hey, okay, it looks like it. Awesome, yes.
Look what we have in here.
I could expect nothing less from you, Tom. But in it, he basically, I mean, as you know, I mean, for those who don't know about the book, he very much equates, let's say, income with freedom as well. And he uses this example of like a guy in New York who's earning, let's say, 150,000 a year or 100,000. I can't remember how much it was. And he was saying that he works 80-hour weeks. And another guy, in, let's say, Bali or
Yeah.
some island place, he earns 50,000, but he only works maybe 20-hour weeks. So then he's
Yeah.
like, okay, who's effectively earning more,
Yeah.
and that really put a lot of things in perspective to me, that it's very easy to like work hard, but it's nice to have that balance of freedom of like working smart,
Mm-hmm.
outsourcing certain tasks to other people, so that you don't do like the boring tasks. Obviously, at the beginning, you need to do that,
Yeah.
because you want to save money and you want to learn the business and everything. But now you outsource it, like now you get a good accountant, you pay them a good amount every month, you get some good financial advice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that happens when your business grows. So just from a freedom and income perspective, and more importantly, let me say this, because one of the main reasons I started study web development, at the beginning, I didn't think of making money,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought to myself, listen, I mean, there's so many ways to make money. I mean, honestly, there's so
You
many ways.
tried you tried
Yeah,
many ways, from handing
yeah.
flyers to jewelry to work in a digital marketing agency, many things.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, I was trying to think to myself, okay, how can I equip, as well, and make money. So in other words, you know that phrase where it says like, I think it's something like, um, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a
Exactly.
man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime type
Yeah.
thing. And that resonates with me, because I want to do something more impactful. I want to influence people, and it's amazing. I mean, just from study web development itself, like I've reached so many web developers around the world. I mean, I've come into contact
Mm-hmm.
with guys like you, and it's incredible, because you get all these messages, of encouragement, of saying like how you've helped certain people, and I must say that is rewarding, because you can't put a price on that. All I can say is that I'm thankful that I can dedicate more time to study development now, because of all the other businesses and incomes and all that stuff. So that's something I really want to do, to write more, to impact more people, so that's something I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited now, and also hopefully for the future.
Yeah, well, that's some really good reasons in there. You know how it changed your life, and yeah, we just like have one last question. Is just
Sure.
like, what kind of advices would you give like to people who it's just like, because some people, for example, me, that I was living in Portugal. I couldn't actually, if I was living in Portugal, I couldn't get a good salary, a good living. So I actually, could make some money on the side, or full time working from
Mhm.
Portugal, working from Bali or anything. What kind of advice would you give to people if they want to start their own business, or if they want to start freelancing? What would what you would recommend them, like?
Phew. Wow. Okay. um,
some
Look,
some
I think
simple steps that people
yeah.
can take and do.
Yes, yes, yes.
As well, for a more detailed thing, you guys can check
Mhm.
Kyle's bundle as well. This is another
Yes.
thing, that if you want to invest really in some good knowledge and some good practical experience. But yeah,
Mhm.
in here you can just like give some kind of
Sure.
steps.
Sure. Look, let me just say that, because you touched on something important in the location side of things. Like, let's say you're in Portugal, let's say you're in India. Does that give you a disadvantage of some of the people in the UK and America? That's a question to ask as well, because I don't want people to also think maybe
No.
that they.
In
y-
my opinion,
Yeah.
that's my own opinion. If
Yeah.
I'm living in Portugal, or if I'm living in India or something, it doesn't matter. Okay,
Yes.
it
Yes.
doesn't matter. because what it matters is the value that you give to people. If you are someone that you are giving some good value, some good content, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, because some people think, oh, if I'm from Portugal, people are not going to take me serious. If I'm from India, people, it doesn't matter. It matters who you are as a person, your values, and what kind of good content you can, how can you help people. This is what
Exactly.
matters the most. It's not about
Perfect.
if I'm from Argentina, if I'm from Portugal, if I'm from Spain or India or Japan. Doesn't matter. You can work from anywhere in the world.
Exactly. Okay, no, perfect. I just wanted to lay that foundation. I mean, perfect. I agree with you. Look, what I will say is this, is that as a general piece of advice, if I'm particularly talking to front-end developers, like people who create websites or web designers in particular, excluding back-end developers, I mean, that's something on its own. If I'm talking to that audience around the world, what I will say is that the web development industry is becoming more competitive.
Yeah.
So you are competing against like the economic market scale. So let's say, for example, I'm a business in the UK and I want to get a website, and I get a quote by a guy in America for $5,000, but I get another quote by a guy in India for $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something to consider. But then also that can be looked at from a national level, even in your country. A lot of people are basing, what they want done based on who's the cheapest, and you don't want to, as a web developer, cut out like drop your rates essentially just to get a client. Because I can guarantee you, I do talk a lot about this on my blog about value pricing and how to charge, your rates and all these other things. But it boils down to this, Talma, and just for everyone, is that it's all about how you position yourself. Because if you position yourself as an expert in a particular market or industry or niche, you will always have your share of clients. If you are always going to be a generalist web designer, web developer, creating, let's say, websites for any type of client that comes along, for any type of budget, I can guarantee you that you will struggle. Especially now, coming from, coming now, starting out now. Let me say, as a side note, I do know that there are agencies, like web design agencies, who do offer services for all types of clients, and there are those people who do make a good amount of money as a generalist. Let me say that that's an exception. It's very difficult to start that now. What is much better now is if you had to focus on a niche. Let's say, I'll just quickly, if you don't mind, just give me 2 minutes, and I'll quickly say the best way to do this is that, let's say I had to create a marketing agency, and all that essentially is just a fancy word of saying, all I'm doing is I'm creating websites for a particular niche, and you only focus on that niche. So let's say, a very practical example, I focus on dentists, or I focus on nutritionists. Let's say dentists. As a side note, you can go look at smilemarketing.com. They're a marketing agency, and they only focus on dentists, and they have a huge amount of clients worldwide. Same thing with paperstreet.com. They focus on lawyers. They've done over 1,000 websites for clients, and they've got a big team behind them. They're doing very well. So that as the foundation, let me say, if you focus on your niche, dentists, nutritionists, contractors, construction workers, whatever, it can be anything. Focus on that, create a website for that, present yourself as an expert in that niche by writing blog articles to make it seem like you know what you're talking about, and learn that industry. Don't fake it, really learn it. Show that you know what you're talking about. Create ebooks that will be helpful for them. Maybe like 7 steps on how to grow your dentistry practice, online or whatever. Let them download that book, get them on your email list, send them emails, follow up with them, convert those into leads, create a Facebook group for dentists, for this particular example, in America or in the UK or globally, so that they can interact with each other as well, and they can follow you for tips on how to market their business and everything. I can guarantee you that this summarized version is much better going forward than being a generalist.
Exactly.
So just as a parting advice, I would say learn what you need to, like web development wise, learn some online marketing, learn some conversion rate optimization skills, because it's extremely beneficial for you. Then once you have the knowledge, equip yourself on how to position yourself differently to the market and to the commodity market, because that means you are perceived as an expert. That means you don't have to deal with all these clients who are late on payment and who don't treat you, the way you should be treated, like not a commodity, because you are helping their business. So I hope I'm not going around in circles, but that's basically my parting general advice.
I completely agree with what you said. It's just like it's so much better to have like a specific, a niche audience that you can target, rather than being like a generalist. Because if you are someone who is just like a generalist, you are not known for a specific thing. Let's say, for example, I'm focusing more now on front end web development tutorials and courses, and then all of a sudden I go into drawing or whatever. People, they have to know you for something, and that's why they come to you. If you are a generalist, people, they don't really care about who you are. They're just gonna pick. You are just gonna be like competing with other people the same level.
Exactly that.
And I think that's it for our interview, Kyle. I really enjoyed our talk in here. Guys, it, make sure that you check the link in the description to check the studywebdevelopment.com website. Kyle has this bundle in there if you guys want to check it out. If you want to invest in yourself, actually, increase your knowledge. There is a lot of knowledge in here on this interview that we had together, guys. You just have to pick and choose whatever you want. But yeah, Kyle, thank you so much for this interview. And I'll catch you up next time.
Talmo, thank you so much. It was awesome chatting to you, and I hope that other people listening may have learned a few things. And I mean, feel free to also comment under Talmo's video. I'm sure I'll be around there in the comments if you have any questions. And yeah, I mean, thank you once again. It was really awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Cheers.
Thanks.